What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. Hope everyone's doing well on a Monday. Hope you guys out there got a chance to watch a lot of good football over the weekend with your friends and family and everything. It was great week 10 of college football. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the week that was in college football. As always, we appreciate you all listening in to the show. You know, guys, we're on many different streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So, as always, guys, we appreciate you all's support with the show. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It definitely helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So, as always, we very much appreciate you guys' support. As always, you know who I'm with. I am with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, my man?
Man, just feeling great. Another eventful weekend of college football in the books. The committee has a lot on their plate to take into account as we get ready for the first unveiling of the playoff rankings. So it was time for us to break it down and see if we can help them come to a conclusion with some of the games that happened this weekend.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right, Chris. This was a really interesting week. I think me and you had talked about it on the prediction show just last week about, you know, some of these games potentially being some play-in games and some, you know, sleeper games that could definitely affect the incoming college football playoff poll coming up this Tuesday. So, I think overall we definitely got what we wanted, and it was definitely a good start out there in terms of, you know, trying to figure out who's at the top of college football right now to make it into this 12-team playoff.
Yeah, no, it's going to be some tough decisions made with how wide open it is this season. I mean, take your pick at whoever you think is going to come out on top, let alone deserves being the big dance, and college football's version of the big dance with the 12-team playoffs. So, going to be some tough decisions that'll have to be made because with some of the games that played out this weekend, we'll see. But we're going to have to figure something out. Some squads like a SMU, they knocking. Let them in.
Hey man, they knocking on the door heavy right now, man. They ain't doing that little tap.
No, they about to bombard. They about to come through.
They kicking down the door.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, no, you're right, man. It's so a lot of teams out there that have been trying to jockey for a position, you know, for that 12-team playoff spot. But you know, it's only 12 spots, Chris, and you know that's why now, you know, in November we're seeing a lot of guys, you know, beat up on each other throughout the season. So it's been fun, and yeah, we definitely had a fun one in week 10 of the college football season. So. Are you all ready to delve into the week that was, Chris? I mean, where do we start?
Where do we start? Great question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, there's so many great games over the weekend, but I think first and foremost, Chris, I think we got to start out with the game at Penn State, where Penn State hosted number 4 Ohio State. Penn State came in that game as number 3. With the AP poll. So this was a big game in the Big Ten, Chris. Me and you had talked about it on our Friday show about how big of a game in the Big Ten conference this was going to be. And it lived up to the hype. I think this was a really good game at the end. Only one team could win, but overall, it was Ohio State that ended up leaving Penn State with the victory. 20-13, Chris, was your score. And now, if you're Ryan Day, I mean, you finally got all of that talk, the negative noise, I should say, away from this team for a little while longer.
For the meantime.
For the meantime, you definitely rose to the occasion in taking out a Penn State team that, was rolling during most of the season, but you got the win where you needed to. And, now you're just trying to hopefully win out throughout the rest of the regular season. I mean, you got a big game against Indiana coming up, so that's going to be pretty pretty big.
Yes, sir. But to talk about this matchup, Kory, man, oh man, we'll start off with Ohio State because they won the game. Out of respect for the team that's victorious and has a W. Good win for Ohio State. Much needed win for Ryan Day and his sanity, his mental health, his family's mental health and well-being out there in Columbus, because there was a lot of pressure on him. I feel like all the pressure was on him.
It definitely was.
To have to win this game. We already pretty much know you're going to beat Michigan. And if you lose to this edition, this year's Michigan team, you got some serious problems afoot. But so we've already kind of chalked that up. This was the matchup you had to win. And you did. You did so. The team ran the football well, closed the game well, put together the drive that they needed when they had to. And the defense, more importantly, the defense stood tall with the game on the line. That goal line stand, Kory, huge.
It was huge.
Huge. That's how you win ball games.
Mm-hmm.
When your defense comes up big time like that, that was the game. However, Penn State should be ashamed for losing this game.
They should be.
This game was right there for the taking. It had several opportunities that they just fell short, including the goal line stand. They were stringing together drives and just couldn't punch it in. It's just so disappointing, but yet so on brand and on point. I said in the preview show, Kory, Penn State is still Penn State. Yeah. And they just wanted to show me that they ain't the Penn State that we know them to be. And same team, new season.
Yeah.
This is what Penn State does. They don't come up big time when you need them to come up big. Am I surprised? No. Should I be disappointed? No, I shouldn't be. Because this is who they are. But yeah, I still am. Because more importantly, I think this Ohio State team it's a really good defensive team. Mm-hmm. But the problems they're having on offense are very concerning. And you should beat this Ohio State team based on their execution and system. The system that they're playing and how they're executing on the field. It's not matching up with the talent. Like, this team is leaving a lot on the bone. There's a lot of meat on the bone. You would expect much more from this Ohio State offense, and we're not getting that. And Penn State couldn't take advantage. It's just very, very disappointing.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right, man. Like, they definitely had opportunities after opportunities, Chris, to control this ball game. I mean, when you look back at it, I mean, playing against Ohio State, this close was a really good performance by them. But it's disappointing when you leave those potential points off of the scoreboard. And I know a lot of the reporters after the game was talking to James Franklin about them missing out on those opportunities, and just for the most part, them losing the game, in general. I know he mentioned about, no one's going to look at more in the mirror than himself and see what they lost. Now, some people can say, like, maybe the refs it did kind of, kneecap them a little bit, here and there. But I think overall, this was a blunder by Penn State. You had Ohio State on the ropes, and you couldn't seal the deal. You say what you want, about James Franklin's time at Penn State. I was listening to Andy Staples not too long ago, and him and his co-host was talking about just him being at Penn State, and most likely he's not going to be let go or anything that we don't think, because that buyout's just pretty large buyout, I should say, Chris. But overall, you kind of got the coach you have at this point, and it's unfortunate because Penn State recruits pretty well. But what he had mentioned was they haven't gotten those guys that, an Ohio State or even a Michigan has scooped up to make sure that they can win these particular games thoroughly. And I think that's pretty much their kryptonite at this point now. And it's just unfortunate if you're a Penn State fan. I don't know what to tell you anymore.
You're just sick and tired if you're a Penn State fan. Like that, you get to the 3-yard line, 1st and goal, and you can't punch it in.
Yeah, it's maddening. Like, imagine if you were there in that stadium and you saw it. Like, what more can you do?
And it was just some bad play calling too. I mean, that 4th and goal play, I don't know what the thought process was for calling that play. There was never going to be anything open in the middle of the field right there. So,
just a blunder.
Huge blunder. You're not going to get a better opportunity to knock off Ohio State than this year with the problems that they're having to put points on the board, and you being at home. I mean, yeah, you had Drew Allard on the move and using his legs early in the game. You could have gone back to that late in the game. A read option wouldn't have hurt to try that, but just bad football by Penn State. Ohio State gets the win, and just things don't change.
Yeah,
some things just don't change.
Another quote that we've heavily used on this show. Oh man, but yeah, man, it's definitely an unfortunate turn of events for Penn State. They needed this game, and now they're sitting 4th in the Big Ten standings behind Ohio State, that has a great opportunity, like I said, to hopefully catapult themselves back into this Big Ten championship hunt. That game actually won't be this week. It'll be in a few weeks coming up. So it should be a great game indeed. But overall, if you're Ryan Day, like I said earlier, Chris, you can sleep a little, you can rest a little bit, a little bit more now. Now that you've taken out Penn State, you only got Indiana to go at this point. I think you can handle everyone else on your schedule. We'll see where that goes, but I think if you're Ryan Day, you can kind of kick your feet up for a little bit.
Yeah, you can for a moment.
Yeah, for a moment. Not for the rest of the season, Ryan Day. You still got Indiana, all right? Don't rest too much, all right? Oh man, but yeah, it was a great game overall. Ohio State with the victory, and yeah, we'll see what happens going forward with both of these teams. But anything else you want to add, Chris, to this game before we move on?
No, sir. I'm good.
All right. Well, now, Chris, we're about to head to College Station. Well, not College Station. We're gonna head down to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks hosted number 10 Texas A&M over the weekend. This game was another one of those games, Chris, where it could definitely change a lot in the SEC championship race. Of course, Texas A&M came into this game sitting at the top of the SEC, and South Carolina was coming in this game, looking to get a big win, a big victory this season. I mean, we've talked about it, Chris. Like, they came up short against LSU, lost to Ole Miss, lost that game against Alabama. They're looking for that signature SEC win. And boy, were we right.
Finally got it.
They finally got it. South Carolina 44, Texas A&M 20 was your score in this ball game. Just a great performance by Lenore Sellers, Chris. 13 for 27, 244 yards with 2 touchdowns, passing, and he also had a couple of rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry. I'm giving him so much credit. I'm not even giving the credit to Rocket Sanders. Rocket Sanders had 20 carries for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. But man, if you had saw that game, man, you would have looked at Rocket Sanders and Lenore Sellers, Chris, as just highlights in this ball game. They were just shredding A&M's defense back and forth on the field. But overall, a great performance by South Carolina. Got the W. And now if you're Texas A&M, yeah, you got that loss. It's your first SEC loss. But, there's still things to play for. A lot of people talked about, they still have a control of their destiny in the SEC. They just have to pretty much win out at this point and see what happens going forward. But what are your thoughts, Chris, about this ball game?
Man, it's an interesting game. South Carolina came out guns blazing, was up 14-0 before you could blink twice. A&M responded back, took the lead, but South Carolina went on a 24-zip run. Scored 24 points unanswered, and the defense just put the clamps on A&M. Second half, after A&M lost Le'Veon Moss, South Carolina took advantage. That's what you're supposed to do. When another team loses a playmaker, take advantage. And not only did they find a way to win, they won emphatically. Huge win for SC. They still can make something of this season, despite your leaving some money on the table and some food on your plate with LSU and Alabama. You got this one. Clemson has proven themselves to be vulnerable. And that's a rivalry game. You have a couple more games, winnable SEC games to finish the season. South Carolina looking to be on the up and up. And as far as A&M goes, you knew it was going to be a tough one. And so everything you still want of this season is still there on the table. Just got to go out and reset, regroup, and just try to get back on the get another win on the column, on the W side of things. So we'll see how things play out for the Aggies. But overall, man, big win for South Carolina though. They should close the year out strong after getting a win like this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this was a big win for South Carolina. and it was it was great to see Shane Beamer, get that opportunity, that big signature win. I mean, he's gotten them before while he's been at South Carolina, but for this season in particular, this was a big getting over the hump win, I should say, for the Gamecocks, and you can just tell, how confident and happy he was that his team could go into Williams-Brice and take care of this Aggie squad, who had arguably one of the best defensive lines in the country. But hey, South Carolina themselves have a really good defensive line. So, they were very confident. You can kind of tell all week leading into this game, and you could tell it once the clock struck at 0 that Shane Bieber, he was very pleased with his squad.
Oh yeah, he hadn't had a big win like this since 2002 against Clemson. And left, like we said, you had opportunities to get wins like this against Alabama and LSU. Well, now you finally got it against A&M, and might be worth investing in some South Carolina stock, not only for the rest of the season, but for next season too. Kory, this team is young.
Yeah, this team.
Norris Ellis is just a redshirt freshman.
He's gonna get better.
Dylan Stewart's just a true freshman.
Yeah. You can't go nowhere else but up at this point, Chris. Like this is going to be a dangerous team in the SEC next season. I guarantee it. And I know they're also recruiting pretty well as also. So yeah, I'm when you're South Carolina, getting wins like this is very important for your program to build upon, on top of what you already have. So, yeah, this is a young team that's hungry for more of these kinds of wins going forward.
And I would not be shocked if they continue to get them. They got some pieces, man. They got some good young talent. So, big win for Coach Beamer. Beamer ball gets his dub, and we'll see how they finish the year. And like I said, for A&M, I still think they're a dangerous ball club. Still have a great chance to make the playoff. You just gotta lock in. You gotta lock in and close the season strong. You gotta figure some things out. You lose Le'Veon Moss. Somebody else has to step up. So we're gonna see Coach Elko and his squad, his coaching staff are gonna get deep in that bag and figure some things out here.
Yeah, you're right. And I failed to mention, that Le'Veon Moss injury did very much hurt their offense overall. I mean, he's a big reason why A&M got to the point that they got to coming into that ball game. You're definitely right, Chris. They're gonna have to dig deep for sure, and figure out some things offensively. And I know some people are looking at, hey, maybe they should have went in a two quarterback system with Reed and Wegman. I don't even think that would have had changed anything, honestly. That probably would have created more chaos for that offense. So I think overall, they're just gonna have to dig deep, like you said, and figure out a little bit more about their offense and what they're good at and what they're not good at, and find some more playmakers out there. I mean, Amari Daniels, look, once Le'Veon Moss went down, he stepped right up in that running back position, and I think he did pretty well for the most part. So, that's one positive if you're an Aggies fan listening to the show that you can kind of take away going forward. But you got New Mexico State at Auburn, and then the game against Texas to finish out. So, and you got a bye week this week. So, you got some time to settle down, get people rested, figure some things out, to finish out this season the way that you want to finish it out, and in hopes of potentially getting the chance to go to an SEC championship and potentially winning that to try to get back in the playoffs. So, it's some work to do, but I don't think it will be too difficult.
I agree. They have plenty of time to get it together, and they have a good roster as is, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll definitely be fine. But yeah, overall it was a great game, and we'll definitely see what happens with both of these teams moving forward. But anything else, Chris, you want to add to this game before we move on?
No, sir.
Sounds good. So, well, from Columbia, South Carolina, we will now move to the cocktail party, Chris. This is an interesting game because, good sir, you were definitely down in Jacksonville for the world's famous cocktail party down there in Florida between Georgia and Florida. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor, sir, and tell me how was that experience overall in watching this game for the first time in person.
It was quite the experience. It was fun overall. Just the energy was electric. The fans are crazy. Just Georgia fans. Just a whole lot of barking going on as soon as a gator walks by, trying to make people jump. It was a whole lot of that pettiness, that energy going on.
You would have thought Braun Breaker would have been coming out of nowhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I promise you. But it was really cool though. Like, you had some cool Florida fans there, and the energy was. Florida fans really just wanted the game. And I think as a Florida fan, you left that game feeling okay with what took place. And if you were a Georgia fan, you were like, what in the world are we doing? What is going on with this offense, with Carson Beck specifically? Georgia almost lost this game. And if Florida wasn't down to their third string preferred walk-on quarterback, Georgia probably does lose this game.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it.
That's what was going on. That's what was taking place. Georgia left, I'd say, 20-plus points on the field. And I say Georgia. But, I mean, Carson Beck left 20-plus points on the field. His decision-making is going to cost this team that has a very good to great defense. They won't win a national championship with Carson Beck playing the way he's playing.
No.
I don't care that they beat Texas despite him playing bad and throwing 3 picks. I don't care that they beat Florida despite him throwing 3 interceptions. They will not win the national championship with him playing the way he's playing football right now, Kory.
No, you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, Georgia won the game 34-20 overall, but I mean, listen to Carson Beck's stats: 25 for 43, 109 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And folks, when I tell you, if you watch the game, or even if you didn't watch the game, those 3 interceptions are as bad as I've seen from Carson Beck yet. I don't know what he's looking at down the field, Chris. I really don't.
I don't either. And it's not like he can't run. Like, if it's not there, just take off.
Just take off. Yeah. It's inexplicable. when I see him throw the football, I tell you that, folks. He's
throwing to double and triple coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not analyzing the field thoroughly when he's getting the ball out. So at this point, like I always say on this show, Chris, I mean, you are who you are. 5, 6 games, down in the season. We're almost at the end of the regular season now. He's still making these mistakes, but it seems like it's getting worse and worse. Yet they're still winning because they're Georgia and they have a ton of talent to get them there. But man, like once it gets like playoff time, they can make a spot in the college football playoff. Teams, they're gonna be playing their best ball too. So I don't know if you can survive like this. I just don't think you can. So I don't know.
The mistakes have to stop. Georgia's been able to drive the football. They were moving the ball well. Doubled Florida up when it came to first downs. Mm-hmm. Twice as many first downs as Florida. You just throwing dumb interceptions inside your own 30-yard line. When you're right there entering the red zone, if not already in the red zone, and you're making these mistakes. You're not winning the games against the good teams making these mistakes.
No, not at all. So I don't know, Chris. Like it was as bad could get on Saturday. So man, I think even if you look at Kirby's face, in the press conference, of course, like he's talking about them, getting the wins and everything, but he also kind of has in the back of his mind that like, man, I don't even think we can survive like this throughout the rest of the season. If we're trying to win another national championship, it's a lot.
He's entering dangerous territory. You might get Jalen Hurts. You keep on.
Yeah.
You keep on making these dumb interceptions, dumb mistakes. At some point, Kirby's going to have to be like, "Hey, you got to see the pine, buddy, and put someone else out there."
Well, Gunnar Stockton is your second string quarterback for Georgia, so can Gunnar give you a little spark potentially? I mean, this is definitely starting to remind you of the whole thing when Justin Fields would come out, at the time. And who was the quarterback behind Justin Fields?
Oh, behind Justin Fields.
Before he had left.
Well, yeah, it was
Georgia.
Because it was Fromm who was
That's
starting.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, could we get to that situation? Maybe we already there, and Kirby just doesn't want to revisit that.
Kirby better learn. Well, this is Beck's last year. Beck is going to leave. So he moves the ball well. It seems to, he has command of the offense. Mm-hmm. It's just those dumb mistakes. But like I said, man, at some point, if he keeps making these dumb interceptions, you have to pull him. You have to.
You have to.
You have to. We've reached that point. We're not entering or reaching. He's been doing this all season too. Mm-hmm. We're at that point.
Yeah, he's doing you no favors as he's turning over the ball this season. I mean, you gotta make a decision. I mean, look at all of these guys that have made the decision. We look back at Mike Elko. Look at the decision he made. He decided to take out Connor Wegman for Marcel Reed. For what it's worth, look at Billy Napier. He decided to take out Graham Mertz for DJ Lagway. It's these are the decisions that you have to make at some point to make sure that your team is even capable of handling the adversity the right way, at least. These are hard decisions to make, but they're decisions nonetheless. and you got to make them in order for your team to win ball games. And at some point, if Kirby doesn't do it now, I'm scared the field, Chris, he might not ever do it. But we'll see how long the noise, I should say, in Athens gets to him before he does have to ultimately make that decision.
They won the game. The noise would be much louder if Florida won. I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. But they won the game. That's a good thing. But this cannot persist. It cannot.
You can't continue like this.
No, you can't.
So yeah, it's an interesting storyline, Chris, going on in Athens, and I mean, I guess we'll just have to get our popcorn throughout the rest of the season, and see how this storybook ending comes to play. Oh man, but yeah. Overall, Georgia got the victory over Florida. It was a tough outing for Florida. Lagway getting injured. You already have lost Graham Mertz for the rest of the season. I mean, pretty much for the rest of his college career. But yeah, that actually hurt Florida in this ball game. I think they played about as good as a game as they could. I mean, the last couple of weeks, Florida's been playing some really good football. So, if you're a Florida fan, you've been, against Billy Napier being the head coach down there. I'm gonna say you get another year with Napier. I think he's finally figured out some things. I think that can help Florida get over their struggles moving forward. So you might have to wait a little bit longer for that, but I think Napier's the guy for a little bit longer. Don't you agree, Chris?
He might have one more year in him. We'll see.
We will see. But I won't knock him. He had some.
Has the team playing hard.
Yeah, has the team playing hard. Just a couple of injuries, of course, that have plagued the team and everything, and that at some point you can't blame that on him. It's just bad luck, I should say. But overall, he has these guys not quitting, so that's a big thing to look out for. So yeah, man. But anything else you would like to add, Chris, before we move on to the last highlighted game of Week 10?
No, sir.
All right. Well, now, folks, we are going to go over to Ames, Iowa, where number 11 Iowa State Cyclones hosted Texas Tech into Ames over the weekend. This was a big game in the Big 12, Chris. You had talked about this on the Friday predictions show, that this game was definitely going to shake some things up in the college football playoff race. And boy, did that happen, Chris. 23-22 was your total. Texas Tech takes down number 11 Iowa State in this ball game. This is a really defensive ground and pound ball game that, for the most part, Chris, I definitely enjoyed down to the last minutes. Texas Tech made that last minute running in for a touchdown, and that that definitely sealed the deal for the Red Raiders with that Taj Brooks touchdown. So it was a great game indeed. Iowa State, they were kicking a lot of field goals in this game. It felt like we were all waiting, like, man, where's the touchdowns? Where's Rocco Beck and this potent offense that we always hear about? But hey, Texas Tech, they didn't quit. They rose to the occasion and they took down the Cyclones out in Ames. But overall, just a great game, Chris. What were your thoughts about this game? And just the fact that I guess you could say we were right. We predicted this on Friday.
We called it, um, but with how the game played out, Iowa State's going to look back at all those field goals. Man, you at some point those 3 points got to turn into 6.
Yeah.
You gotta convert those drives into touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't do so. You didn't get the 2-point conversion late in the game that would have made it. It would have put you up 24,
Mm-hmm.
24-17, and that's those are those moments like that in the game. That's what you look back on. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You didn't score enough touchdowns, and Tech found a way to win. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, Tech just played so much better. Just great football, elite football. They made Iowa State look bad. No, Iowa State was moving the ball. Rocco Beck, almost 300 passing yards. Higgins, 10 for 140. You know, they even had 74 yards on the ground, 13 carries. Iowa State offense was playing well. They just didn't execute inside the 40. Once they got into the Red Raiders territory, they couldn't convert. And that's the difference. They didn't get the touchdowns. They didn't make the plays when you needed them to make the plays. Texas Tech made the plays when they needed to play. Was not pretty. Wasn't sexy. Just like that field. It was wet and muddy and ugly. But they did it.
Yeah, no, they definitely did, and it was great that you did say that about the stats, Chris, because the stats are deceiving at the end of the day. I mean, when you're looking at the scoreboard, you're thinking about, man, where are all of the points at? I mean, yeah, Rocco Beck almost threw 300 yards. Like you said, Jaden Higgins with 140 and a touchdown, 10 receptions. I mean, like, he was getting the ball downfield. Guys were getting touches, but yeah, they just couldn't convert and get points when they needed to. So it just when at the end of the game, I mean, you would look at that and just be like, man, that was a wasted opportunity if you're Matt Campbell's squad, that you just couldn't get those breaks when you needed to, and you couldn't get those touchdowns when you needed, because had they got them, they would have won this game. But you know, Texas Tech was definitely giving them a game throughout all 4 quarters, and you know, hats off to Joey McGuire and his squad by rise to the occasion when they needed to win this ball game. You know, against a good Iowa State team.
Yeah. I mean, this is college football, Kory. You know, Iowa State was kind of due for a moment like this. We talked about it before. Just a week prior, mm-hmm. they escaped against UCF, and they didn't clean things up. They did the anti-SMU. SMU cleaned things up and put a beating on Pitt. Iowa State moved the ball well, didn't execute, and that's all it takes in this game, this sport. Don't be on your A game, and you leave a window of opportunity for someone. And Texas Tech busted through the door at the last minute of the game and got the win. So big ups to the Raiders, and this sets up a huge, interesting matchup next weekend. Well, this weekend, rather, against Colorado.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Colorado, Texas Tech. The game's going to be in Lubbock, by the way, this week. We'll definitely be breaking that game down on our Friday show, Chris. can't wait to talk about that game, just because, man, it definitely has some Big 12 implication, Big 12 championship implications attached to it.
Yes, it does.
So,
Yes, it does.
all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, a great win by Tech by taking down a really good Iowa State squad that all season long they've been playing lights out. Matt Campbell definitely has a really good squad down there in Ames. But yeah, this week we're definitely going to be breaking down that game. Can't wait to talk about it, bro. Should be a good one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But yeah, great win for Texas Tech. We'll see what happens coming up this Saturday, and we'll also see what happens with Iowa State as well throughout the rest of the season. I mean, they still got at Kansas, Cincinnati, at Utah, and last game is against Kansas State to finish off the season. So, a little bit of work left to do. I guess you can kind of say, there's a couple of games that could be trap games out there. I'm not going to count out Utah or Kansas State just yet. So, we'll definitely see what happens with Iowa State going forward. But anything else you like to add to this game, Chris, before I go over the rest of the top 25 over the weekend?
Sir.
All right. Well, now, folks, we are going to go down and talk about some of the other games in the top 25 for your Week 10 of the college football season. We'll start off with Friday's game, Chris. We had San Diego State going to Boise State. Boise State won that game 56-24. Ashton Jeanty had 31 carries, 149 yards with 2 touchdowns in that game. He's kind of, I know he's starting to kind of get a little banged up now, Chris. If you had watched that game, he was just, it wasn't that he definitely had like that right arm cast, either right or left arm cast in that game, but man, I think the mileage is starting to catch up to him late in the season going forward. But, nonetheless, he's still playing good football.
Yeah. Hey, you'll take the win. You still playing good ball, and you'll keep him moving. He'll explode again soon.
Oh yeah.
But you'll take 149 and 2 tutties. That's a good day's work.
Yeah, not bad at all. So, a good outing for Mr. Jeanty, and him showcasing why he's still one of those lead men in the Heisman race. So, we'll definitely see what happens with that, Chris.
Yeah, we will. Especially with a guy like Travis Hunter out there, he's going to want to make some plays. He's going to make some plays this weekend. Continue to up his stock, because they're going at it for that Heisman Trophy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with GNT moving forward. So we'll now move on over to Oregon going to Michigan, the Big House. Oregon won this game, Chris, 38-17. Dylan Gabriel, 22 for 34. 294 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had 1 touchdown rushing as well. So from one Heisman Trophy contender to another, Dylan Gabriel is still out here showcasing why he wants that trophy. He wants it badly, Chris.
He does. Yes, he does.
So it was a great win by Oregon. Still 9-0 right now. One of the unbeatens in college football. So, it's pretty interesting to see Oregon at the top of the Big Ten conference. So we'll see what happens with the Ducks going forward. And
Yeah, no.
yeah. Oh,
I was just gonna say, the Ducks are rolling, and they look to be honestly a level above everybody else in the Big Ten. We'll see, but
mhm.
they're playing the best ball in the conference right now. Indiana's right there too, but Indiana hasn't played anybody. They're just whooping up on bad teams.
I know, and having fun with it. Having fun with it. So yeah, man, we'll definitely see what happens with that whole race in the Big Ten as well, Chris. All right. Well, now, Chris, we're going to talk about Miami and Duke. we had the Blue Devils coming to town to take on the Hurricanes. 53-31 was your total. I gotta say this, Chris. Duke was making Miami sweat a little bit.
They were. They were.
They were giving them a game.
You got your typical Miami football game in this one.
Yes. We're bored. Entertain us, opponents. Before we run away with it by like 20 points.
Yes. We'll make it interesting, then we'll find a way to win, or just better yet, we'll turn up the gas and blow you out.
Exactly. It's the Miami special now. That should be what we call it now, Chris.
The Miami special.
Yes. But yeah, Cam Ward just, from another Heisman Trophy contender to another, Chris. 25 for 41, for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. It just ridiculous by Cam Ward. I mean, he's just that good, man. He's just that good.
Mm-hmm.
So
he is
great performance.
That's what he does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So great performance by him. Miami still one of those last undefeated teams in college football. So we'll see what happens with Miami going forward. I'm pretty sure it's going to be another game of them, being bored. Oh, man. Moving on, we had Kentucky going to Rocky Top, Chris. 28-18 was your total. Kentucky did kind of, slap Tennessee around a little bit here and there. But I guess it's just like every other week with Kentucky. They just they show up people, but they can't get the job done unless it's against Ole Miss.
Yeah, right. No, they were right there in the mix with them. Yeah. He played a solid game, but solid ain't gonna get you to win against a top 10 team in their backyard.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's I mean, if you're a Kentucky fan, man, you gotta be stressed out about this at this point, man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, but against a really good Tennessee team that's still struggling a little bit. I mean, it's what are your thoughts about Tennessee overall, real quick, Chris? Just because, man, I never felt so underwhelmed watching Tennessee.
They continue to leave a lot to be desired, like especially when you look at how they were playing to start the year. You're like, this team can be scary. The defense is this good, the offense is this good, but the offense is not. It's not it.
Yeah,
the offense is lacking severely.
Absolutely. I mean, we went into this season, looking at Tennessee as being like, oh, like this offense is unstoppable. Who's going to stop this offense? And it seems like the only people that have stopped the offense is themselves.
It's Tennessee.
So
they are not. They just aren't executing, Kory. I don't know what's going on. They can't get right.
No, they can't. So I'm just kind of concerned about that, Chris. I know you have been, off and on as well too, and I mean we've talked about it. you know, publicly on the show and just privately at how disappointed and underwhelming this Tennessee team is from an offensive
Yeah,
standpoint.
man. No, they are, and so I mean, they can play with anybody, but can you predict them to play with anybody?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they got a game against Mississippi State this week. You know, maybe you turn the Jets up and you score about 90 points.
Yeah, do you feel good going into the Georgia game?
Yeah, and there you go. Get your good tune up in. So Oh man, but yeah, this game, Chris, don't know what happened to him. Clemson hosted Louisville. Louisville wins this game 33-21. What happened? I thought the Tigers was riding high. Now Dabo is looking at us and trying to make excuses about this.
Yeah, nah, the Clemson tripping. they really stumbled in this one, but Louisville's a good team.
Yeah, they are.
If you don't come ready to play, they'll take advantage. Mm-hmm. Louisville came ready to play. You knew they would be locked in. Road game against Clemson, they were ready for this matchup. Clemson was not ready, and it showed. And I guess they were due for a stinker. Clemson has been locked in all season since the Georgia game.
Locked in.
But they chose the wrong team to have a stinker against because Louisville took advantage. Most teams you can still find a way to win despite having a stinker.
Yeah.
Not this Louisville team.
Right. Yeah, this was I won't even call this a clunker because clunkers are usually games that you still win. This was a collapse.
Yeah.
Against a good Louisville team, like you said, Chris, not taken away from Jeff Brom's group. I love Tyler Show in that squad, but yeah, this was a team in Clemson that we were talking about week to week, Chris, and being like, hey, if they went out, they handle their business as well as they can, maybe they can try to make something shake in the ACC race. But here we are. You lose to Louisville, and now you're behind.
Right.
So yeah.
So tough indeed.
Yes,
but
sir.
They've opened up the door for another team in the ACC that we'll get to here in a moment.
Yeah, we will. Going forward, we got number 13 Indiana taking out Michigan State 47-10. Indiana 9-0, Chris. They're licking their chops. They're preparing for the inevitable Ohio State game coming up in a couple of weeks.
Shout out to the Hoosiers. The schedule gods have blessed them, and they're taking full advantage of it. Now you get to prove that you're for real. So, hey, you play Ohio State, get the win over Ohio State, and let everybody know that no, it's not just a schedule. We really are like that. So we're going to get our answer on Indiana. We found out about all these other teams. We haven't found out about Indiana yet. We're about to here on Saturday.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see more about this squad. But yeah, if you're Curtis Rourke, man, you just getting these touchdowns wherever you can get them.
Keep getting them stats, baby. Keep piling up them stats.
There you go. Oh man, but a good job by Indiana by getting the victory and staying as one of the few unbeatens in college football. Number 17, Kansas State went to Houston, Chris. This was a head scratcher. They lost the game 19-24. Houston got themselves a victory. Houston hasn't been really playing that well all season. But yeah, that was a that was a head scratcher for sure. In seeing Kansas State lose this game.
Man, talk about a surprise. Like, Houston got you? Kansas State?
Yeah. Houston got you.
Houston got you. Houston scored 14 unanswered to steal this one. Kansas State ain't put up a point in the fourth quarter. Recipe for a loss.
Yeah, just a weird outcome in this game. I mean, you would. I was on the assumption that Kansas State would win this game. No problems. Of course, Avery Johnson has been playing some really good football this season, but man, you lose this game. Yeah, you're out of the Big 12 race.
Yeah, for sure. So, tough, man. Real tough.
Real tough. But yeah, that was an eye opening moment for sure. This past week, SMU defeated Pittsburgh. Chris, 48-25 was your score in this game. SMU is 8-1 and 5-0 in conference play right now. These guys are looking unbeatable right now in the ACC, Chris.
This is how I felt the game was going to play out. SMU was going to put a beating on Pitt and expose them, and that's what happened, man. Jennings did his thing. 306 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Smith had 161 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. This offense was rolling. SMU is for real. And if they can win out in the regular season, they have what it takes to beat Miami. Miami comes out on that bull jive. Like they love to come out on. Like they love to play around. They love to play with their food. Come out there and play around with SMU if you want to. You're going to get exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So, the Mustangs are for real, people.
They are. They are. What Rhett Lashley is doing there at SMU right now, Chris, it's pretty impressive. Like they're playing ball over there.
Exactly. Only lost to BYU.
Yeah.
Let that think in.
Right. Against a really good undefeated BYU team. So yeah, man. Hats off to SMU for sure, Chris. Yeah, they're playing good football. We'll see what happens going forward with the Mustangs, but big win nonetheless.
Win.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Number 19, Chris. Ole Miss goes to Arkansas. Arkansas, a week after slapping up on Jeff Levy's squad down there in Stark Vegas. Ole Miss wins the game 63-31. I mean, the people down there in Fayetteville, they were looking sick.
Yeah. And rightly so, because they got beat up. They got whooped on. Ole Miss's offense was looking like the offense we thought we would see all season.
Yeah. Jackson Dart, 25-31, 515 yards, 6 tutties, Chris.
Oof.
The man was looking unstoppable. That's all I gotta say.
Now he had one of them days. He ain't gonna forget this one.
Yeah. Yeah, they were looking unstoppable in this game. I mean, 5 of them went to Jordan Watkins, and he had 8 receptions for 254 yards. So it was just a big day for Ole Miss going forward, and they got a big game against Georgia coming up this week. Chris, me and you gonna definitely talk about that game.
Yeah, no. If you're an Ole Miss fan, this is the performance you wanted to see from these guys before the Georgia game. You wanted to remember. You want can our offense still put up points? Can we do this? Yeah, you guys can. And if Georgia keeps playing the way they are playing with turnovers, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and say Ole Miss is gonna win, but I ain't gonna sit up here and act like, oh, Georgia's just gonna run over Ole Miss either. It's November, Kory. This is the college football season. It's a weird one. That Georgia Ole Miss game was looking quite interesting based off the last the performances, the recent performances of these two teams.
Yeah, definitely is. So, hey, man, that's gonna be a big game. Me and you are definitely gonna be talking about it. I can't wait to watch that one. Can Ole Miss do it? They got a really good defense. They got a really good offense when they show up.
Same thing for Georgia. That's what's so crazy. It feels a little bit like Penn State, Ohio State to me.
Yeah,
like Ole Miss is the Penn State of the SEC. Like they get your hopes up that you think they gonna finally turn the corner. This is the time.
Which is so funny. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, you're good. You're
good. Which is so funny because Matt Berry of ESPN, shout out to Matt Berry. He does a great job over there. But he told I think he told Paul Feinbaum about it, just the audience in general, like, hey, the 12-team playoff was created for teams like Penn State, like Ole Miss. that maybe not quite. There as like an unbeaten team, is your traditional top 4 or 5 that you always see every season. This was for them, so it's very funny that you say and fitting that you should say that Ole Miss is the Penn State of the SEC, because I definitely agree with you on that.
they are, and. Like Georgia's having an Ohio State kind of season. We're expecting so much more from Georgia, but we're not getting it.
Yeah.
It's Ohio State, Penn State all over. So can Ole Miss, can you get this win? Because if there's a time to beat Georgia, it is this year, Kory.
Yeah, that's for everybody. I mean, look, if you got a chance to be in the college football playoff, you should be licking your chops going up against Georgia. If you feel like you have the team to take on the horses that Georgia has, I don't think you should be scared at all.
No, you're not scared of this team. You respect them, but you aren't scared of this team.
Yeah.
And so we'll see, man. Like you said, we're going to find out here shortly.
We are. That's why we play the games, Chris. That's why we play the games. Oh, man. But last 2 games, Chris, before we get on with our Chiefs of the week and get out of here on today's show, we had Army, number 21 Army, defeating Air Force 20-3. Army still one of those unbeaten teams at 8-0. So we'll see what happens with the Black Knights. Minnesota defeats Illinois 25-17.
Rank the Gophers.
Yeah, please.
Put them in the top 25.
You got to, right? You gotta do it. I remember, I think it was the first game of the season, Chris. Minnesota got defeated by North Carolina last second go ahead field goal. They missed the field goal. North Carolina wins the ball game. And man, I'm just sitting there. I'm just sick for Minnesota because I'm like, man, you were right there. Couldn't seal the deal. But, lately, they've been quietly winning. Got bowl eligible with this win. Good job.
They have.
Mm-hmm.
They have. The squad is playing some good football. You got that win against let's see, I wonder if I'm not mistaken, they beat USC as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they did.
So yeah, this team is they're doing their thing, Kory. So
yeah.
Big ups to them.
24-17, they beat USC several weeks ago. So yeah, they've been on a 4-game win streak as of late. So they they've been playing some really good football right now. So definitely watch out for Minnesota.
Yes,
as
sir.
as
Yes,
we
sir.
go down the stretch. I mean, Penn State, they got a date with Minnesota. So good luck, good luck, Penn State fans out there. You taking on the Golden Gophers. I think they're peaking at the right time.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, we got the top 25 out of the way. Now we're about to head into Chief of the Week for Week 10. Good sir. I will go ahead and leave the floor to you. Let us know who your Chief of the Week is.
Yeah. Well, look, this is a week of college football where you have some guys, some of your usual suspects. They stepped up and had big time games, big time performances. Your Cam Wards of the world doing what they do best. But I'm going to I'm going to venture out. And I'm going to look at, another team in the ACC conference
Okay.
and reward them for the performance that they put on. Well, reward their star player, I should say, for the performance that they had in the game where they needed to bounce back, get make a statement, and let people know that we are for real. So we're going to SMU.
Mm-hmm.
A couple guys I can pick from, but I'm gonna give love to Brashard Smith,
Nice.
running back for the Mustangs, en route to their 48-25 win against Pitt. Brashard had 161 yards on 23 carries for 2 touchdowns. And he also had 4 receptions for 21 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Big time in this game. And SMU, we've already touched on it, continue to let the world know they are for real. And I'm glad to see this performance from their rushing attack. That's what they pride themselves on. And Smith was a menace. Couldn't be stopped. And when you got the running game going like that, and then Jennings was threw the ball for 306 yards and 2 tutties too, that's a dynamic offense. You're going to be hard pressed slowing them down when you're doing whatever you want. And that's what SMU did. But it started with Smith in that running game.
Yeah.
So big ups to Bouchard.
Yeah. That was great performance by him. That rushing attack at SMU, really, really good. Especially with Brashard Smith out there. And he was also out there, getting passes as well. So a big performance by him in helping his team win that ball game over a really good Pitt squad that was starting to make some noise in the ACC. But hey, they shut that down real quick.
Man,
yes, sir.
did they?
They did. They did indeed. But yeah, man, that's a great pick. Shout out to Brashard Smith as your Chief of the Week. My Chief of the Week for Week 10, Chris, is none other than Sir Jackson Dart. Had a great week this past week. He was 25 for 31, 515 yards, 6 touchdowns, Chris.
Too easy.
Just too easy. Just too easy. I mean, he looked like the Jackson Dart that people have been wanting to see around the country since the beginning of the season. So, shout out to him.
We could even make it a co with the way Jordan Watkins played too.
You know what? Go ahead and slap him in there. Jordan Watkins is also the my co-chief of the week for week 10. 8 receptions, 254 yards, 5 touchdowns. Man, it just an amazing performance by Jackson Dart and Jordan Watkins in in really just taking the air out of the stadium for Arkansas. I mean, like, that team was riding high after that Mississippi State game. Nah, none of that none of that happened once Ole Miss came to town.
Yeah, they brought the WWE SmackDown to on a Saturday.
Exactly.
On a Saturday afternoon. They ain't even wait till Friday. They brought it on Saturday. So they spared them a day.
Right.
So.
Oh man, I mean, they just did what they wanted against the Razorbacks. So I gotta shout out both of them. I think it's only right at the end of the day that we do that. So great job for both of these gentlemen, indeed.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, another week in the books. Week 10, heading to week 11. We got some big games coming up, of course. What is one of your big games that you're ready for week 11?
Oh man, week 11. Looking at the schedule, there's several different games that are going to be crazy. So, Georgia Ole Miss, of course, that's big time. South Carolina Vandy.
Yeah, who knew?
That's a game. You're right.
We didn't even talk about Pavia. Look,
Pavia. Yeah, he owns the state of Bama. He just ran up in Auburn and they got the win.
Oh man, just shout out to Vandy, man. They've been playing some exceptional football this season, and sky's the limit for this ball club. I mean, they pretty much said it themselves. Pavia was like, man, we're thinking bigger right now. We're not just thinking about going to a bowl game. We're thinking about like playoff aspirations, if possible. So, hey, you keep winning, you might get an opportunity. So, shout out to the Commodores right now.
Yeah, shout out to the Doors. There's also a couple of games, a couple more. It's going to sound crazy when I say it. Maryland at Oregon.
Yeah.
Maryland is a sneaky team.
Yeah.
Sneaky team.
4-4 right now.
They had their struggles. But it's a sneaky game. Oregon feeling really good. We talked about how wide open this season is. I ain't saying Maryland's going to win it. By any means. Just don't be surprised if that's more of a game than what you anticipate. And the same goes for Mississippi State and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee continues to struggle on offense. If there is a recipe and a formula to give you some accurate on offense, it's Mississippi State's defense. But we'll see. Mississippi State might surprise you. Tennessee might continue to surprise you too when I get it together. It could be a closer game than what the experts will tell you.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Like, hey, the last several games, we've noticed that Mississippi State seems to trend up and play up to opponents that maybe are, an outmatched outlook on the paper, on paper, if I should say. So you never know.
You never know. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the playoff eliminator. That is Alabama and LSU, Kory.
Yes. Yes, this should be a fun one.
That's going to be crazy.
We're definitely going to talk about it on our Friday show.
So
I can't tell you who's going to win that.
we got several games to dive into on our preview show, but it will be another great week. It's November. It only gets better and better. Even if you don't see the matchups and how is this going to be a great game, the great games find us as the season continues.
Yeah.
So there's games we haven't talked about on this list that will be great and will have some ramifications.
Indeed. I agree with you. So yeah, man. It should be a fun week indeed. I can't wait for our Friday show, Chris. That way we kind of break down some of these matchups and kind of delve deep into some of these teams and really see who has the edge over who. So it should be a fun one.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Yes,
that's
sir.
for sure.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, before we head out of here, good sir, outros for today. Let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, sir. You can find me on X at Chris _ Bolton _12 and on Instagram at Chris.Bolton _ Holla at your boy. Especially on X. We'll talk about all college football, fantasy football, NBA, boxing, wrestling, music, everything.
Yes. College basketball is coming back too.
Yes, sir. It's here.
It's here.
Duke National Championship run on the way.
Let's see. Let's see if they can do it. Let's see if the Blue Devils can seal the deal. Walk home with the trophy this season. So yeah, should be a great season of college basketball indeed. So.
Oh, you know it will be. College basketball never disappoints.
Oh yeah, never. Yeah, and you can find me on social media as well. At Listen to KSW on X. All one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, whole nine. So yeah, definitely follow me on there. But yeah, guys, like I said, we'll be back on Friday to talk about all of the games, our predictions for week 11 of the college football season. So be sure to be tuned into that. But until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Peace.